Found out my husband was cheating with my sister, divorced him, and went no contact with my toxic family. Years later, things took a turn. I've been married to my husband Ryan, 32, for 6 years. We have a strong relationship. Like any couple, we've had our ups and downs, but we've always grown from them and remained loving toward each other. Everything was fine until about 8 months ago, when my sister Star, 28, moved back to our hometown after living in Florida since she was 18. Her long-term boyfriend had dumped her and moved to a new city, leaving her with nothing. The circumstances of their breakup are still mostly unclear. When Star came back, she told us he had been cheating with men. I didn't know him well, but that sounded far-fetched. I'd only met him 3 times. Star usually only came home for Christmas and stayed a few days. He came with her twice in their 5 years together, and the other time I met him was during a one-day visit when my husband and I were on vacation 3 years ago. He didn't seem like someone living a double life who would just leave her with nothing. I tried reaching out to him once but found I was blocked, so I let it go. Star moved in with our parents, Gina, 55, and Jimmy, 56. For the first month she struggled to find work, so I suggested Ryan might be able to help. He's higher up at his company, and I figured he had some influence. He did, and she got a position in his department. A job in her field. For context, my sister and I have never been very close. She's the golden child, at least to our mom, and our dad goes along with whatever she says. It's not always obvious, but it shows in 1,000 small ways. For example, we both got cars at 16. But I got an 8-year-old Dodge Neon, while she got a 2-year-old Mitsubishi Eclipse. Her dance practices, outfits, and competitions cost thousands over the years. Some competitions were hours away. And my parents never hesitated. Meanwhile, when I asked for $50 for a local sports camp, they acted like I was asking for something outrageous. What bothered me most was when I was 17 and came home 15 minutes past curfew. They took my car for a month. The next year, my sister came home 2 hours late, smelling like pot, and got nothing more than a stern talk. I wasn't exactly sad when she left for college and stayed in Florida. Despite all that, she started spending more time at our house. At first I thought it was nice. Maybe she was trying to be closer to me. Then I noticed how familiar she and Ryan were becoming. They would talk for long stretches about anything, had inside jokes, and if I tried to join in, they'd brush it off as just a work thing. When I asked Ryan, he said they had a lot in common, and were working on several projects together. The first real red flag came when, after about a month, she started being at our house when I got home from work. Ryan works a typical 8 to 4:30 schedule, while I work 10 to 7, so this happened often. Whenever I asked, the answer was always that they had work stuff to do. 2 months ago, something happened that made me question my sanity. I make the bed every morning, always placing the open side of the pillowcases toward the edge. That day Star had been over. When I got home, we ate, and she left. Later, when we went to bed, I noticed 2 pillows had been turned so the openings faced the middle. I asked Ryan if he'd been in bed that day. He looked slightly shaken but said no and asked why. I told him the bed wasn't the way I left it. He said I must be mistaken because no one had been in it. I checked his phone and laptop, without him knowing, and found nothing. Then again, they worked together all day, and spent time together after. Why would they need to text? I felt like I was losing my mind. 2 weeks ago we were at my parents' house for dinner. Everything was fine until I saw something. Ryan was walking by, and Star lightly grabbed his arm. He turned to her, she whispered something, and they touched foreheads for a second. Ryan quickly pulled away and kept walking. Star looked at me, smiled, and went back to what she was doing. I'm not stupid. I know these are major red flags. I just didn't want to believe it. I've loved my husband since I was 21. I planned a weekend getaway to the city. I was going to ask him about everything there. I really hoped it wasn't what I thought. Update, you were all right, and my world is destroyed. We went on our weekend trip. Friday night was nice. We had drinks, we danced, we were intimate. The next day we had more plans, and I almost didn't say anything. I truly believed he couldn't be doing that with her while doing this with me. I was so wrong. We were just about to start our Saturday when I asked him directly if he was having an affair with my sister. He teared up and said yes. My heart shattered. I asked him why, and he said he was sorry, that he never meant for it to happen. He said they just clicked, and before he knew it they were kissing. And then more. I asked if he had been sleeping with her in our bed before I got home from work. He just turned his head in shame. I left right then. I had nothing but my purse, and drove home without him. He got an Uber and arrived a few hours later with my things. He tried to apologize, but through my tears I didn't acknowledge him. He packed a bag and left for a hotel. The next day I told my parents. They already knew. They said they were sorry and told me Star had left the night before and might not be back for a few days. I'm sure she went to stay with Ryan. That all happened 3 months ago. Our divorce is almost final. Our divorce is almost final. Ryan found an apartment right away, and Star moved in with him. I only communicate with him about the divorce. At first he said I could keep the house and the savings. I think that was guilt talking. A few days later, he changed his mind and said we'd have to split the house. I know that was Star influencing him. I had already moved everything out of the savings into a new account, so there was no fight there. Just like that, 9 years of my life were gone. He has no idea what he's getting into. She is a narcissist and will eventually throw him away. Star has been incredibly cruel throughout all of this. A few days after I found out, she tagged me in a Facebook post. It was a selfie of the two of them, with him kissing her cheek from behind. The caption read, "Feeling loved." It was disgusting. I logged out and deleted the app. About an hour later she texted me. "Sorry sis, didn't mean to tag you. No hard feelings. I hope we can still be close. You'll meet your soulmate someday too." I blocked her on everything. My parents haven't been any better. At first they pretended to be sympathetic. When I told them I was going no contact with Star and Ryan, my mother said, "I'm sorry this happened. It shouldn't have happened this way, but your sister deserves to be happy too. You'll meet someone, and then we can put this all behind us." I got upset and told them about the post and the text. My mother said, "Well, you let Nate be on that stuff anyway." My father hasn't said anything this entire time. He just sits there. I asked him once what he thought, and he said, "I agree with your mother." Then walked out of the room. I'm going no contact with them as well. The house will sell soon, and I'm moving to a different state. I'm not telling any of my family where or when. I haven't told them that's my plan. I'm just done with all of them. I wish them all the worst. Update. Hi everybody. I know it's been 4 years since my last update, but a major situation came up. I'll start with an update on myself. I'm recently engaged. It took a lot of therapy to get myself back out there. I tried dating right after settling in Minnesota. I went on one okay first date, then quickly saw how insufferable the guy was. After that, I swore off men entirely. That's when I started therapy to process the trauma from the betrayal by my husband and sister, as well as the abandonment by my parents. It was a difficult year, but I eventually met James, 37. Yes, he has the same first name as my dad, Lowell. But James is wonderful. He's a chef, and he owns a restaurant and bar with his fraternal twin brother Jack. The business is doing very well, and I'm excited to build a future with him. Now enough about me. Let me tell you about the audacity of my family. About 9 months after I left, I was still completely no contact. I never told them where I moved. Only a few friends and a couple of cousins knew. One day, I came home to my apartment and found a wedding invitation in the mail. It was for Ryan and Star's wedding. The invitation included a sickening photo of them hugging in a sunflower field. There was also a letter from my parents. It essentially said I needed to forgive and move on. That we were a family and families work through problems. They even claimed Star wanted me to be a bridesmaid, just like she had been for me. What the actual hell? That letter reopened so many old wounds. At the time, my therapist got a lot more business because of it. Looking back now, I find it almost laughable. But back then, not at all. I did not respond at all. The only thing I did was figure out which member of my extended family had given my ex's family my address, and I cut them off as well. That brings us to the most recent drama. Last week, Ryan of all people showed up at my apartment. James and I don't live together yet, but that will be changing soon. Ryan looked good. Too good, like he had made an effort to look his best before coming. I asked, "What do you want?" He said, "I just want to talk. I'm so sorry for what I did. Star and I are divorcing. I found out she was unfaithful our whole marriage. I don't expect you to take me back, but we should talk and get some closure for both of our sakes." I blinked. He had lost his mind. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "No, you don't get closure. You made your own bed. Did you really think that golden hoe of hers, who's had more visitors than the Holiday Inn, was suddenly going to put up a no vacancy sign just because you put a ring on it? You're even dumber than I thought. I forgive nothing. I want nothing from you. I don't care. I'm better off now, and that will always be the case. You can go to hell." Then I went back into my apartment, and locked the door behind me. I immediately called my landlady. The sweetest older woman in the world. Over the past 4 years, we've gotten close, and she knows about my previous marriage. Ryan was still lingering in the hallway. A few minutes later, her 2 nephews, who helped maintain the property, showed up and told him he wasn't welcome and had been banned. If he came back, they'd call the police for trespassing. I hoped that would be the end of it, but it wasn't. I have a pretty easy 9 to 5 schedule now, so I go to the restaurant most nights when James is managing. I don't get in the way. I just hang out and enjoy whatever time he can spare. I've become good friends with a lot of the staff, including many of James and Jack's family. It's the kind of family environment I always wished I had. The next night I was there when Ryan walked in and came straight to my table. It was a slow Tuesday. James noticed immediately and came over to check on me. He recognized Ryan from photos I had shown him. Ryan stuck out his hand to James. James just looked at it, then asked me want me to kick him out. I said not yet. I've got a question or two. Ryan perked up like he was winning something. What an idiot. I asked him to tell me what happened between him and Star. I'll admit, it was pure morbid curiosity. He said she had been having at least 2 affairs with married men. Old habits die hard, I guess. This was about 2 years in. It was a tough time for me, he said. I rolled my eyes and cut him off. You're not that dumb though. Did you protect yourself? Or did she get half your stuff? He replied smugly. I stuck it out almost another year so I could start putting money aside and sell off some assets. In the end she got a fraction of what she would have. I asked. And what happened to her? He said she had to move back in with your parents. Again. I nodded satisfied. Yes. Thank you. That's what I wanted to hear. You can go now. James stepped in. You heard her. Out of my restaurant. Ryan started but no. I cut him off. No forgiveness. No closure. I just wanted to know my loser sister was back living at home. Get out. James stood and pointed to the door. Ryan looked around and saw the bartender and 2 servers glaring at him. He stood up, tucked his tail, and headed for the exit. James added, and if you have, come back. Ryan quickly interrupted. Yeah, I know. Cops. Trespassing. After he left, almost everyone checked on me. It was both nice and a little embarrassing. My future in-laws, who I adore, called me and insisted I stay with James for a few days just to be safe. It was incredibly kind. I've never had a family look out for me like this. I haven't heard from Ryan again, and hopefully I never will. Update. Hi everybody. I didn't think it would happen, but I have another update. First about me. I am now 41 and a mother of 2. A 6-year-old boy and a 2-year-old boy. James and I are doing really well. I now work part-time as an office manager for the restaurants. A while back, James's cousin bought into the business, and we opened a second location 3 years ago. It's been more work, but with all 3 of them heavily involved, we've been successful, and it allows each of them some personal time. It wasn't exactly planned, but I'm pretty sure I got pregnant while staying with James after his parents insisted I do so. Following my last update, they joke now that they always wanted to be grandparents and that it was all part of their plan. Now for the update. After the last time Ryan tracked me down, I figured it was only a matter of time before my parents or sister showed up. It didn't happen right away. I relaxed a bit as I felt I had a full support system and rejoined social media. I stayed no contact with most of my family, including extended relatives, but I had no illusions that they wouldn't be able to find me if they tried. It wasn't until after our first child was born that I got my first message. It was from my mom. She gave a half-hearted apology, said something about forgiveness, and asked about her grandson. I was going to block her, but the implication that my child was her grandchild felt insulting. So I replied, "You do not have any gray and children. I am not your daughter, and my children have no relationship. If you want grandchildren, you should encourage Star to get out there and do what she does best." Then I blocked her. She created new accounts and kept trying to contact me for a while, but I always declined or deleted any requests or messages. That brings me to the recent drama. I started getting bombarded with requests and messages to contact them. I read a few, mostly sob stories about missing out on the kids' lives and wanting to make amends. I didn't care. I had no intention of ever letting them back into my life. Then something more shocking happened. Star started reaching out. She didn't say much, just that she really wanted to talk. After about 3 weeks of this, I agreed to a Zoom call, just me, no kids. At the start they kept asking to see the kids. I stood firm. That wasn't happening. My children have 3 grandparents, and that was it. James's mom, dad and grandma. I started to get the sense this was about something else. Star looked terrible, and my parents looked older and worn down. As we talked, they began apologizing for everything. Even Star said she was wrong and wished she could have her sister back. That was almost laughable. Then my mom took over and went into her usual speech about family and looking out for each other. When she finished, I just looked at them and said, "Is that all you've got? I'm going to go." They told me to wait, and the facade dropped. The real reason came out. Apparently Star has been having health issues for the past couple of years. For some reason her kidneys are failing, and she needs a transplant. That's why they had been trying so hard to contact me. A family member is the most likely match. I asked directly, "So this is why you called? You want me to save her? After what she did, my husband wasn't enough. Now she needs a body part. From me too?" My mother snapped, "Stop being like this. That was a long time ago. She started crying as she continued. I know you hate us, but she is going to die without a transplant. Is that what you want? I know you think she wronged you in the worst way. But please, just this once, can we set that aside? I stayed quiet to see if they would say more. Eventually, my dad spoke. Look, we're sorry for everything, but we've got bigger problems now. Between her medical bills and not being able to work, your mom and I are getting older and have our own issues. We need you to come back to Missouri to see if you're a match. And honestly, we could use some help too. Or we might lose the house. So you need my kidney and my money? I said. Don't put it like that, he replied. Star then said, please, just come home. I need my big sister. I don't want to die. Can you just come and see if you're a match? If you're not, we'll never contact you again. I told them I needed time to think and do some research, and that I would let them know the next day. Then I ended the call and went to talk to my husband. He said he supported me no matter what I decided. Then asked if we should all go as a family, or if he should come with me. I said no to both. I was going to go, and I was going alone. I let my former family know I would get the lab work done in Minnesota, and if I was a match, I would come there and we could talk about everything else then. About a week later I got the results. It turned out Star and I were a perfect match. I agreed to go back home to St. Charles. By the time I arrived, Star had started having complications and had been admitted to the hospital. That kept everyone from pushing for a dinner, which I had no intention of attending. I didn't want to do anything social with these people. Still, whenever they had a free moment, my parents kept asking if I had considered helping them with their financial situation. They managed to stabilize Star, and I went to meet with the doctors who would perform the transplant. They began explaining everything to me. And I said I wanted to have that conversation with everyone present. We all went to Star's hospital room. My parents were already there. The doctor started explaining the situation. Star had maybe 6 months left without a transplant. They walked us through the process and emphasized how perfect of a match I was, saying the chances of finding a better donor were extremely low and that the sooner we scheduled the surgery, the better. I then walked over to Star, took her hand, and looked into her big brown eyes. Did you hear that? I am a perfect match. Essentially, I'm the only person who can save you. And I'm not going to. You are the most vile narcissistic piece of gutter trash I have ever known. I only came here so you would understand that the one person who could keep you alive is the one you wronged the most, and now you're paying for that with your life. You're going to die. You should make peace with that. Star broke down in tears. My parents immediately turned on me. The doctor and nurse stood there in complete shock. I looked at my parents and said, don't even talk to me, and don't you ever ask me for anything again. The only money I would ever spend on you would be for your funeral, on the condition that you're cremated and the ashes are given to me. At which point I will promptly dump them in the dirtiest toilet I can find. With that, I walked out of the room and never looked back. I'm back home now, my real home, surrounded by my real family, and I couldn't be happier.